Hey, welcome back to another tutorial. If you want to see how I got this look, then just keep watching. So I did my brows off camera, and then right after I do my brows, before I do my eyes, I like to add my face oil. This is the Dermae Organic Argan Oil Blend, and I just rub that into my skin and let it sit while I do my eye makeup. That way it just has time to really soak into my skin and do its job. So now I'm just priming my eye, and what I'm using for that is the CoverGirl Ready Set Gorgeous Concealer. This concealer is in the color Fair. And then I pat that in with my blender. This blender is from Profusion. And then setting that with the color Tempera from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam Palette. I was like so excited to get my hands on this palette. I've like worn this palette every single day since I bought it, just because I've been so obsessed, but it's just gorgeous. And the brush I'm using is the Morphe M441 to set that with the Tempera shade. So now I'm going into Orange Soda, and I'm putting that using the same M441 brush in my crease, kind of high up in my crease as my transition shade, just making sure it's really blended out. Now I'm going into Rustic, and on the same brush again, I'm just taking that in my crease as well, a little bit lower than our transition, just because you want that really good like gradient blend in your crease. So down low in the crease, and then bringing it up a little bit, but not all the way covering up our transition shade. And once I get the color, like all the pigment applied, I really like loosen up my grip on the brush and just go in with a much gentler hand, and it helps to blend this color into the transition shade. So now I'm going into Cypress Umber, same brush again, concentrating this on the outer V right here, the outer part of the eye and crease, and then once most of the pigment is deposited, I do bring it in a little bit. And then just slowly building up color, so just depositing color, blending it out, depositing color, blending it out until I get the desired darkness that I want. That was my kiddo coming in to ask me some questions about something. He was telling me about a game he was playing or something, I think. I don't remember. So now I'm using both of these shades, Glistening and Fairy, and I'm just using my brush. This brush I'm using is the Luxie 249 brush. It's a dual-ended brush. It has a blending brush on one side, which I'm using here to blend the two colors, those two colors to my crease, like where they meet. And then it has a flat shadow brush on the other side of it, which is what I'm using to deposit the two colors. Also, if you guys are wondering why my lip is like so irritated and red, I have really bad allergies, food allergies. I ate something that I didn't know I was gonna have a reaction to, and yeah, so here we are, you know, free lip filler. It's so annoying. So now I'm using the black shade on this palette called Noir, and just putting that Noir, I'm not sure how you say it, but I'm putting that on the outer V of my eye, really concentrating it, but I really put it on lightly. I didn't want it to look like super black, just where you can see it. So I picked up this at CVS, and I was really excited to play with it. It's the Wonder Ombre Holographic Eyeliner from Rimmel London, and it is in the color Gold. So one end of this is a black liner, that's what I'm applying here, and it's just a pencil liner. I'm winging it out. This product was super creamy. It was really easy to wing it out. I was kind of worried because sometimes it's like just a pain in the ass to wing out a pencil liner. And then I did take a flat brush that was completely dry and clean, just to see if it would like clean it up and make the wing a little bit sharper without having to add any kind of concealer or anything. And it totally did. This stuff is so creamy that if you do it like right when before it's set, it totally will just like wipe it away and sharpen it up, and it's just super cool. So that's what I'm doing here. And I was like, oh, cool. So now I'm using the other side, it's Gold, and I did find that sharpening both these super like to where you have a really sharp point does really help. And I'm taking that over top of the black, and it turns to like a really gold holographic-y color. And then I just brought it all the way to the outer part of the eye, kind of where the wing goes up. Right here is where I stopped. And then I did keep flipping back to the black just to help the gold and the black blend into each other. I did think it was a little bit hard to see like the difference in it. So right here I went in with my NYX matte liquid liner in black, and I did darken up the wing and a little bit where I went a little bit over top of the gold, just because I was curious if the gold would go over top of a liquid liner, because this liner is so black. Thought I could get a really good like contrast between the gold and the black, and it totally worked. So I did use this the next day and only put the liquid liner, and then I used the gold side just to see if it would work by itself, and it totally did. So if you're like, you know, I don't have a very good contrast, that would be a good option to try. I'm not sure that all liquid liners would work, but this one worked for me. So I'm going with my foundation. The foundation is the CoverGirl Outlast Stay Fabulous in 857. I put a couple pumps of this onto my little palette, and then I put a few drops of oil into it just to kind of make it a little bit more dewier and more moisturizing. I always do this to my foundation. I just think it works really good. This CoverGirl one is my absolute favorite. So yeah. And then just using that same sponge and just pouncing it all over my face and buffing it into the skin. I did leave the under eye area pretty blank just because I didn't want to get it all cakey and, you know, just nasty, so I left it blank so I could go in with some color corrector and some concealer. Okay, so I'm using the NYX color correcting palette. I'm using some salmon color and a yellow color. The salmon is to correct darkness, the yellow is to brighten, sorry. And then I'm just blending those in with that same blending sponge again. You don't want them to completely disappear, but you don't want them to be like, just like not blended whatsoever either. Then I used 2 shades of this concealer. These are from Wet n Wild, both of them. They are the Photo Focus Concealer. They're in light ivory and light medium. I usually go in with light medium first, that's this one, and just kind of put it on all the high points on my skin or on any like little spots that I need a little bit of extra coverage. Once that is on, I go in with the lighter one, which is in light ivory, and I just kind of brighten up areas and just see like where do I need a little bit more brightness, a little bit more light, where do I want to highlight more on my face. So now that that is blended in, I'm just going in with the lighter shade and just brightening and highlighting my face a little bit more, just the really high points where the sun's gonna hit my face, all those areas. And I use the same exact sponge no matter what I'm doing throughout my entire face process. So you don't need like a bunch of different sponges or different sponges for like your foundation and then one for your concealer and then one for cream contour. It's not necessary whatsoever. So yeah. Also just remember to do little pouncing kind of motions instead of smearing it. You're just going to move all your makeup underneath and it just isn't going to look that great in the end. I have been using a lot less concealer under my eyes, just kind of a little smear and then just really blending it in, just because I have some fine lines and wrinkles and I'm about to be 30 in a couple months, so I've been trying to be mindful of that. And yeah, for some reason my eyes got super watery right there. I don't know what happened, but it like lasted for like 10 minutes and it was so annoying. So now I'm using my Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Contour Kit in light. The color that I like to go in with is the Light Sculpt. It is the bottom row middle shade. And if the shade starts to dry out and get a little bit too thick, I do take a couple of drops of that Dermae Organic Argan Oil and I just put it in there and it like makes it all creamy again, re-moisturizes it and makes it work a whole lot easier. And I like to apply my cream contour first before I blend it in with my sponge with my Vasanti eyeshadow brush. It's a really big, pretty big flat eyeshadow brush, but it works pretty good. And then just going in with that same sponge again and just blending my face. And this is totally the e.l.f. beauty sponge, not the Profusion one, so my apologies. I totally thought it was when I started it, and then I noticed that it is definitely not the right shape. So yeah, I've been going back and forth between the e.l.f. one and the Profusion one, so yeah. So once I blend that in, I kind of use the butt of the sponge, then I go in with the other side that I use to blend in my foundation and my concealer, and I just go in and kind of lighten everything up a little bit, blend it a lot better. Just seems to work out pretty good for me that way. So the first powder I'm using is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Pressed Powder. This one is in Warm Light. And I just take that on this old AF Coastal Scents brush and I pat it into my eye area, and then right here I'm just kind of lightly brushing away and just getting rid of any excess powder, and then also placing it everywhere else that I put concealer. The second powder I'm using is also from Wet n Wild, and it's just a pressed powder in medium. So as far as contour goes, I'm using the Park Avenue Princess Chisel Palette from Tarte. The color I like to use is Carrot. And the brush I'm using is the Profusion Contour Brush. It's a super dense brush, it just is so nice. And I'm just taking that to all the parts I want to contour. You definitely don't have to contour everything that I do. Personal preference, look at your face shape and just kind of, see what you want to contour. Yeah. That's the awesome thing about makeup, is that it is literally customizable for anybody, and it's pretty awesome. So for blush, I'm using the Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush in Feisty, and I just use a big ass Morphe brush. It's actually a powder brush, and I apply that on my cheeks. So for my brows, they tend to get shiny, so I like to take that same sponge that I've been using for my whole face, pat it into my RC Made No Color Powder. It's just a translucent powder, and then I pat it over my eyebrows, and then just pat it in until it blends in, and it kind of gets rid of that shininess. Then after that, I like to go in and set them with my NYX Tinted Brow Mascara. I think this one is it's in Chocolate. And then for highlight, I'm using the Makeup Revolution Triple Baked Highlighter. This is in Goddess of Faith. It's so beautiful. It's shaped like a heart. So freaking cute. They're super, super affordable at Ulta. I picked this up and I'm like, how did I never used these highlighters before? They're so bomb. And the brush I use to apply so I'm going over everything with my beauty blender. It's the same one that I use for everything. I didn't add any product to it, and just pouncing it all over my skin and making sure everything is really blended in, not powdery. There's no streaks of highlighter or anything like that. And then spraying my NYX Dewy setting spray on that and patting in my under eye area just so it doesn't get cakey or powdery looking. Just really makes it last a lot longer and look more flawless. So going back to Soft Glam, I'm going to be taking Rustic and Cypress Umber again for the lower lash line. Rustic is going to go all the way across the lower lash line, and Cypress Umber is going to be concentrated on the outer part of my eye. And then also on the outer part of my lower lash line is going to be the Ciate London Black Gel Kohl Liner. And I just pop that on there and blend it out a little bit with my brush. So for mascara, I'm using the Eyeshadow Black Magic Mascara. Super, super good mascara. Super black. Also, the lashes I had popped on were the House of Lashes and Iconic. So I wanted the gold to stand out more, so I used this e.l.f. Gold Glitter Liner. This is really hard to do with lashes already on, so if you're going to do this part, I would do it before that. But yeah, it did make a really big difference, made it really pretty. Just getting that off my lashes and setting my face again. So going back to the highlighter, I'm going to highlight the inner corner of each eye and a little bit under the highest point of my brow where my arch is. And that's it for the tutorial, guys. Thanks for watching.